shouting for relevance. That's the focus of tonight's Angle. Now, during the first Trump term, she urged leftists to harass Republicans in public. And now, at age 86, Mad Maxine Waters is sounding even more deranged. The equivalent of someone who's just throwing a match on a spill of kerosene.
I'm worried that Trump is on the edge of creating a civil war. I believe he expects violence. I believe he expects confrontation. I believe he's working toward a civil war. We're not going to get goaded. We're not going to get tricked into that.
Oh, she's out of her mind. Trump wants national harmony and a country united behind a new patriotic journey toward peace and prosperity for the middle class, for all Americans. But of course, nationhood itself, that's a threat to the far left. They despise America, and they don't even believe in borders. By extension, they loathe Israel and justify barbaric acts of Islamic terror. Now, we saw this play out today in Manhattan, where the NYPD was forced to get up close and personal with pro-Hamas loons who tried to take over Trump Tower.
Free, free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine! Free Palestine!
No more weapons, no more war. Freedom's what we're fighting for.
Now, these protesters have zero ability to engage in an actual debate on issues like immigration or the war in Ukraine or our support for Israel. But they are masters at screaming, off-key usually, sign-waving, property damage, and criminal trespass. Most are borderline illiterate. Their chants don't even make sense. What? I don't get that at all. Fox's Eric Shawn tried to engage with them. This is how that went.
What are you protesting and why are you here?
We're here in the name of peace, and we're asking for Mahmoud to be released. He was taken illegally by the ICE department. He was kidnapped by the United States government.
The ICE department. And the professors at Columbia are just as incapable of coherent thought. They don't know immigration law, but they try to pass themselves off as intelligent warriors for civil rights.
His only offense has been exercising his constitutional rights to free speech and peaceful assembly. Now we're facing a horrifying reality that our own student, a member of the Columbia community, has become a political prisoner here in the United States.
The only political prisoner would it be a conservative on the Columbia campus. Give me a break. If national security concerns are implicated, determined by our Secretary of State, guess what? People with green cards, non-citizens, can be sent packing, period. Read the law. Now, you may be wondering, who's actually behind these protests? Who's supporting them? Who's funding them? The Trump Tower sit-in was organized by the group Jewish Voices for Peace. Now, it has several chapters on college campuses across America, and it bills itself as a home for left-leaning Jews. It pushes the BDS movement, boycott, divest, and sanctions against Israel, and it gets its biggest funding from groups associated with George Soros, the Rockefeller Brothers Fund, and the anti-Israel Kaffen and Lannan foundations. That's just to name a few. Now, remember, Soros himself has his hands in many protest pots, stirring up a toxic brew of anti-Semitism and anti-Americanism. Jerusalem Post writer David Ben Bassat put it starkly. Soros and his organization pay funds to radical anti-Israel organizations that fuel hatred and encourage protests on campuses across the United States. They're funded and organized by branches of Students for Justice in Palestine, SJP, supported by Soros and other anti-Israel organizations. Oh, and here's another fun fact. Jewish Voices for Peace, JVP, had to pay a federal penalty of $677,000 back to the government for misrepresenting itself in a COVID loan application. Basically not revealing that it's essentially does political stuff. It just does research. Yeah, right. But none of this matters. None of the facts matter to the crazies. Because these people don't care about the facts, and they don't really care about the law. This is all driven by emotion and by propaganda fed to them online and on college campuses, in the classroom and beyond. And if they could, a lot of these students would have majored in protesting. And you get the feeling that many of these characters, for many of them, protesting is almost a substitute for socializing. It gives them a sense of belonging, a sense of community. It's their entire reason for being.
Stop the bombs and the killing! Fight like hell for the living! Stop the bombs and the killing! Fight like hell for the living! Palestine will live forever! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free!
They're being lined up, put on buses, about 100 or so arrested. I guess joining a book club just isn't, intellectual enough for them. I think Democrats are making a big mistake if they become identified with those people. It is not a winning message or a good look. Any non-citizen who is thinking of coming here to join the overthrow of the West cause, think again.
If you tell us when you apply, hi, I'm trying to get into the United States on a student visa, I am a big supporter of Hamas, and by the way, I intend to come to your country as a student and rile up all kinds of anti-Jewish student, anti-Semitic activities. I intend to shut down your universities. So we would deny your visa. If you actually end up doing that, once you're in this country on such a visa, we will revoke it. And if you end up having a green card, not citizenship, but a green card as a result of that visa while you're here in those activities, we're going to kick you out.
Good. The country will be better off. Here's the message. If you support terrorists and foment hate in the country, we're not going to roll out the welcome mat for you, and we're not going to take your abuse. That goes double for those torching Teslas as some form of twisted protest.
We catch anybody doing it because they're harming a great American company. We're going to catch them. And they're bad guys. They're the same guys that screw around with our schools and universities, the same garbage.
Of course, Musk knew what he was getting into when he volunteered to help Trump. Because he's effective and because he's knocking over their gravy train, he's the target du jour.
I think I'm at the top of the list for a lot of homicidal maniacs. They're doing the same thing to me that they did to Trump.
Yeah.
Which is that they're making it sound like if you kill me, you're a hero. That's what they're doing is evil. If the legacy media is saying that I'm a Nazi and that's all you read, then you're kind of in like, well, he's Hitler. We should assassinate Hitler, shouldn't we?
He got it. 100% correct. Violence is not protected by the First Amendment. And despite the left's love affair with Luigi Mangione, murderous acts are not an acceptable form of protest. The Democrats had better dial this back. The rhetoric, the violence, the destruction of property. This isn't the Biden administration. They're playing with Trump now, and he's not going to passively accept political arguments that come in the form of citizens being terrorized or property destroyed. And that's the angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.